Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. I'm with Oculus Rift Reviews. Today we're going to review and play Curios VR, a free-to-play game on the Steam store for the HTC Vive. Now, I believe this game was released today, August 27th, 2019. However, on the store page itself, it says May 15th, 2017. I don't believe that's correct. I believe today was the first time this game has been released on the Steam store. It works perfectly fine on the Oculus Rift. I experienced zero issues as far as that goes. However, this game does run on the Unreal Engine, and I did experience two issues, and I'll get into that in a moment. But first, let me talk a little bit about the game. First of all, I did enjoy playing Curios. It's a good free-to-play game, in my opinion. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. And that score is mostly based on the technical issues. Because I did experience quite a few technical issues, I did lower the score. But nonetheless, this is a fun, good, free-to-play game on the Steam store that I do recommend. If you played any cooking simulator game in VR, then you know exactly what type of game this is. It's even similar to Job Simulator in a way. So you're given recipes, and you're given some. There's a tutorial, sort of, where it's explained to you what you're supposed to do. But for most of the game, you're actually left to your own devices. You're left to figure out how to complete the customer's orders. Now, there is no time pressure in this game, so you're not racing against the clock, and you can take your time. And there are some upgrades that you can do to your cooking station so that you'll get more ingredients, you'll get more different cooking stations that you can use the ingredients with. And you'll even have like a little book cauldron near you that will explain what the different ingredients do, sort of. And I say sort of because I'll explain something at the very end and you'll know what I'm talking about. But for a lot of this game, you're pretty much left to figure out, how do I complete the customer's orders? Now, at first, it starts very easy, and in this video, you're seeing a lot of that. Just very easy, basic orders. There's some ingredients, and I think at first, you do just have to figure out what ingredient corresponds to what word. So it says cream. Obviously, between barley and butter would be cream. So it's not that difficult. Then it says something about like sweet and strength. So obviously you're given the choices between, I believe, a honeycomb and some, I believe, roots. And then you're given a choice between the bones or the feathers. So obviously strength would be the bones, sweet would be the honeycomb. So it's not that difficult to figure out. And you just throw the ingredients in the pot and then just give it to the appropriate customer. The number is on the recipe for the number of customers, so it's on the number 1, which would be the first customer on your left. That's who you give the order to. That's who gave you the order. So it's pretty basic at first. However, this game soon gets more complicated, not just with doing the orders, but with money management and ingredient management. So you got to keep track of your inventory. You got to keep track of how much money you have and what you can spend on. And also got to do upgrades and decide whether you want to move to a new location or not. Now, each location has some ingredients that you can get for free. And that's a big part of the game. And that's how you'll be making all that money, is if you choose wisely as far as which location to go to next, and get those ingredients that you might be missing instead of having to shell out money for them, or souls. In this game, I guess that's the currency. Overall, the interactions could use a little bit of work. So for your interactions, you are using point and click. However, you can move your avatar hands towards the object and pick it up when it's highlighted, but the interactions could have been done a lot better. I generally do like magnet hands, which is this, the point and click I'm referring to, the magnet hands. But a lot of the times, it's easy to pick up items, but it's not easy to put them in the appropriate place. That's where the magnet hands in this game kind of fails a little bit, and that's the main problem with the interactions in this game. It's not getting the items, but putting them in the location that you want, whether it's in the cooking area where you want the ingredient to go, or whether you want to give the final product to the client. It's all a little clunky. I had to throw it to the clients, but it didn't always get there, and then it just kind of freezes, and sometimes it respawns and you can get it back to the client, but sometimes it didn't respawn at all. And yeah, I was a little confused about that. The good thing about this game, though, is the further you get, the more complicated the gameplay gets and the more interesting it gets. And soon customers are asking for recipes that you don't have the exact item for, and you actually have to find a way to make that ingredient. So you have a basic ingredient and you have to figure out a way to turn it into the ingredient that's in the customer's recipe. And I found that interesting. I did have fun with that. I got pretty far. I got into where this part where you were lighting candles and you were turning items into the opposite, and then you could flip that over and there's like a little mini cauldron that's also going on. As you can see, you have like a big cauldron to your front and to your right, but behind you eventually you have like a little mini cauldron that functions a little different. So overall, with the money management, with the ingredient management, the inventory, and having to choose the correct location, this becomes a quite interesting game. And for a free-to-play title, it has quite a bit of depth to it. I enjoyed my 1.5 hours of gameplay. The one thing I didn't like was, like I mentioned earlier, it crashed once, and then one time it just stayed stuck at the end of an order and it didn't go on to the next order. And the interactions, I think, could be a lot smoother. But overall, I did enjoy the game and I do recommend it.